morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at EUIC. There are very, very exciting things happening with EUIC, but I think one of the first things we need to talk about here, because I do think this is very, very important, it is looking to be the largest tournament ever. Okay, in the West. I think there are some Asian tournaments like in China, etc., and Japan that have hit 5k, all right, fine. But in terms of Western tournaments, you know, the TPCI regions and all of that, this is looking to be the largest tournament that we've ever had, and this looks awesome. We use Limitless here because I think that's probably the best way to do it. And if we have a look at numbers for the internationals last year, I think this is probably going to help a little bit. So we literally just have a look at last season and have a look at the international championships. We saw that there were, of course, 3. We had LAIC, which is always a lot smaller. It is always by a pretty wide margin the smallest of the internationals. That had 1,263 players. EUIC last year had 2,605. We're talking about Masters Division players here. And then NAIC just pipped it with 2,692. Just a hair short of 2,700 players. So with the growth expected in the game, it looked like we were going to break 3,000 this year. And actually, if we include LAIC this year and we rejig it, we can see that there was a 50% increase from last year to this year in terms of numbers for the Latin American International Championship. Not quite 50%, but, you know, napkin maths 50%. Close enough. We went from 1,263 to 1,810. Okay, awesome. That is a big improvement in terms of numbers. That is a huge increase. So what are we going to look like with EUIC and NAIC? And look, as with all of this, we don't know for certain. We don't know the exact numbers until we turn up to the tournament and get the exact numbers confirmed. But registration has opened. And we have seen the amount of people that are being kind of shown around, and the numbers are impressive. We have over 4,000 players that are registered. Now, like I say, we don't have kind of final numbers or any of that. Let's be clear about this. You know, we saw this tweet from Rahul Reddy. That's a lot of people. Yeah, there's over 4,000 players. Unfortunately, because I didn't register, and we'll get to that in a minute, there's a good reason I didn't register, I can't actually see this dashboard. So I can't go and see the number myself. So I'm relying on other people to share the information. But yeah, that is a lot of people. You know, over in VG, they've got nearly 1,500, and they're being very happy about that. But TCG is, as always, just a different beast. I do believe that does include seniors and masters and juniors. So I don't believe that's just Masters Division players, let's be clear. But that's still a huge amount of people. I don't know what the final number is going to be. And like I say, we're just not there yet, all right? We're not there in terms of knowing the exact numbers. But you're looking at over 3,500. Over 3,500 players here are going to be turning up for Masters. Maybe creeping up towards 4K, which is absolutely absurd. And it's still sold out quickly. And I've still seen a bunch of tweets from people who are frankly unhappy about the fact that it sold out quickly. And I get that. It's just the growth of the game. It's not ideal that it sold out quickly. The ideal situation is that we have enough spaces for every player that wants to play. That's not where we are. We don't have enough spaces at EUIC, but it is going to be the biggest tournament ever in terms of the West. I expect it to be beaten, incidentally, when we get to NAIC. Like I showed you last year, NAIC was not much, but there were 87 more people. I would expect a similar kind of thing. I expect NAIC and EUIC to be close in terms of numbers. I do expect NAIC to win out in the end. It generally does, honestly. General rule, it does. If we go and have a look at the year before, because I do think this makes for an interesting comparison, 22-23, we see that there's action. This was the last year where we had Oceania Internationals. You'll notice that NAIC was about 372 people above. But look at those numbers. It's 2 years ago. 2 years ago, EUIC had 1,525 people. In the space of 2 years, that was EUIC 22-23. This is 24-25. They've doubled. They have more than doubled in 2 years. So I do think it's worth saying, for all those people that are upset about the fact that it's sold out, and some people who might be angry at Pokemon for not opening up more spaces, do bear in mind they have more than doubled the capacity in the space of 2 years, which is incredibly relevant as far as I'm concerned. Shows a real commitment on the part of Pokemon to actually grow in the game. This is kind of awesome, honestly. And it does make you wonder how big it could be in the future. Because it's held at the XL in London. I'm not giving any information here. I don't have any information. But the XL basically has two halves of the venue. It's corridor down the middle, two halves. And as you walk in the main door at the front, we're always on the right-hand side. For the main tournament, I mean. And every year we just take up a little bit more space. But you can imagine the entirety of the venue actually being used here. And actually, there's quite a lot of capacity, I believe, and I'm not an expert, although I have spoken to people that are, to be fair. I think there's a lot of capacity that's essentially still spare. I think they could expand within the Excel. But there's a really interesting question here, and I don't have an answer, but there's a really interesting question to be asked about what could happen in the future. Does Pokemon move out of the Excel because it's just too big? Or does Pokemon start really restricting numbers or doing a lottery type system where they have over in Japan? Because if we keep growing in a few years' time, there's going to be more people that want to play than the Excel can physically hold. That's an interesting question. The question as to whether I'm registering, and I've already told you the answer is no, is very simply because I'm casting EUIC this year. Yay! I've not actually even tweeted out about this yet. I don't know why I've not tweeted out about this yet, but there's been lots going on and I just kind of haven't. But if you go to the EUIC page, there is a link to the streaming page, and if you go to the streaming page, it says what to watch Pokemon TCG, and it does confirm the commentators will be myself, Pablo, Meza, Alex Dow, Amy Worsley, and Adam Watson. That's awesome, right? I think that's a pretty good lineup. Gonna be honest with you, I'm a little bit excited about this lineup. Delighted to see Amy going on to do EUIC. She made her IC debut last year at LAIC. And as we've already said, in terms of pure numbers, EUIC is bigger than LAIC. Attracts quite a few more people. So I'm really excited to see Amy get a chance on there. Alex is returning to EUIC after making his debut last year. And we all know that Pablo is one of just the very best analysts in the Pokemon TCG. And we've all seen Adam's enthusiasm and love for the game coming across in many tournaments. So this is a stacked roster. I am delighted to be a part of it. And whatever games I end up casting and whoever I end up casting with, I am going to be very excited about this. So yay! And this was actually revealed a few weeks ago, but we haven't talked about it yet, so let me just talk about it now. We have seen the welcome kit for EUIC, and it's all built around Wellspring Mask Ogerpon. And hopefully I get to snack some of this swag as a caster as well. We'll see what happens. But you got deck box, mat, sleeves, pin, hat, lanyard, all based around Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, and I love that hat. That is a beautiful hat. So I hope I get to add that hat to my hat collection. Worth noting, of course, we can put it side by side with the swag from Latin American Internationals, which was all built around Half Flame Mask Ogerpon, the fire one. So, look, either Cornerstone Mask or Teal Mask is going to be for NAIC. And let's face it, there is a very strong argument that Teal Mask Ogerpon is the best card in the game. And I don't say that lightly. So I think it is basically a given at this point that the welcome kit for NAIC is going to look like this, but all based around Teal Mask Ogapon. Seems like Cornerstone Mask is missing out. I think Half-Flame Mask should have been the one that missed out personally, but that's just me. It's just because it's the worst of the 4 cards in the TCG. But either way, we got our welcome kit. It is going to be the biggest Western tournament ever, and I get to be a part of it and cast it, and you better believe I'm going to be excited. And also, we are going to have a new set for EUIC. Remember Prismatic Evolutions. Now, it's not going to become legal on the day EUIC starts. It is going to be a couple of weeks before, but there's actually some cool stuff going on with Prismatic Evolutions in regards to actually shaping up the format. We know that Lugia gets that new Regigigas, which is going to shake things up a little bit, make Lugia quite a bit better. It's basically 4 energy and it does 230 to Terra Pokemon. So that's going to be kind of interesting. We know we got all the new EVs, which I'm excited to see how they work out. But we've also got that Badoo that I showed you day or two ago, telling how that was going to be a big issue because single energy, 10 damage plus item lock for the turn. Yeah. Prismatic Evolutions might be a mini set, but it's just become legal in Japan. And I'm just having a look at what's going on over in Japan right now, and especially with Badoo, Prismatic Evolutions is going to shape up the metagame quite nicely, and I'm really excited to see it. So there we go. That's what you need to know about EUIC being the biggest tournament ever. And now it's over to you guys. How hyped are you for EUIC? How excited are you to get involved? Are you going? In what capacity are you going? Let me know all of this in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Jelena Renji, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.